Hey, welcome back to Album April. It's April 11th, and today I listened to The Man Machine by Kraftwerk. One thing that I don't think I've really talked about much before is how I find albums to listen to for Album April. At the beginning, I just went to stuff like Rolling Stone's 500 albums of all time or 1001 albums to listen to before you die or stuff like that. There were some issues with that. First of all, is the fact that you kind of run out of albums unless you actually want to go through the entire list, which I definitely didn't want to. And there's also the fact that a lot of these classic albums that you hear about don't exactly hold up well, at least not in my opinion. For example, I am of the opinion that Abbey Road by the Beatles is a bad album. I believe that Blood on the Tracks by Bob Dylan is a horrible album. And just looking for like the critically lauded albums had kind of led to me not really looking forward to album April that much. I almost didn't even do the third year of it. But then I decided to look for more albums that would interest me specifically. So what I started doing is looking for things like best pop albums or best alt rock albums or stuff like that. Try to find things in more specific genres that I like, in addition to looking for popular acts and the albums that they've released. And the reason why I'm bringing all this up today is because that is how I came across today's album, The Man Machine by Kraftwerk. One of my searches were best electronic albums of all time, or best EDM albums of all time. And there's going to be another one later on in the month. But the German group Kraftwerk is often considered to be one of the pioneers of what we think of as electronic music. And I don't really know why, but this is the album that came up for Kraftwerk. They kind of went in a Pink Floyd direction here because the album is like 30-something minutes and it's only 6 songs long. It was interesting listening to it because it was definitely one of those albums that felt very much ahead of its time. Like, there's a lot of video games like this, Ocarina of Time, BioShock, Silent Hill 2. You play them now and they feel standard, but they're the ones who set that standard. If someone had played this album and told me it was from like the late 80s or 90s, I would not have any issue believing that. You know what? Something funny happened yesterday when I was listening to Arrival by ABBA. There were 2 songs in it where I thought, why does this make me think of Coconut Mall from Mario Kart? And I don't really know how to put that into words, they just did. But when I was listening to a lot of the songs on Man Machine, they made me think of music from the NES or the SNES, and I'm pretty sure that's because they're using the same synthesizers, the square waves, the sine waves. I've used these synths in MIDI stuff for like my music covers I put on the internet. If I had to compare this album to any other album I've heard, it would be Homework by Daft Punk. Mostly just in the way that these songs are very repetitive. Like, they just go over the same thing over and over and then go on for 5, 6, 7 minutes. But they find interesting ways of expanding on that and developing on the ideas that they set up at the beginning of the track. I can see the framework for songs like Around the World or Defunk in some of the songs I heard in Man Machine. My favorite was probably Neon Lights. That's what I thought was like the prettiest sounding of all of them. It was also the longest, 9 minutes, but at this point in Album April, that doesn't really feel that long compared to some of the other things I've heard. I think this kind of falls into the category of ahead of its time at the time, to the point where it wasn't really appreciated as much as it should have been, but looking back on it now, it seems just very standard, even though it was kind of ahead of the curve. I thought that Man Machine was okay. If you like synth pop, maybe check it out. If you really like 8-bit music for video games, or like homages to 8-bit music or 16-bit like old school video games, maybe check it out. I can definitely appreciate what Kraftwerk did to sort of set the standard for other acts to come later, like Daft Punk. Alright, thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.